thing with social to keep in mind is it's all trial and error. So how many businesses here have Facebook for business? Cool. How many have Twitter? Pinterest? LinkedIn? Google Plus? Anything else? YouTube. Perfect. YouTube? Cool. Anything else? Okay. All right. I've got some of the latest stats for 2015 on social media. So, I mean, they do base a lot of this from the US and some Australian. This is from emarties.com. They talk about e-commerce, so sort of the emergence of social media and how that affects sales online. So there's things like, well, they call it S-commerce now, which is social media commerce. Some people have called F-commerce, which is Facebook commerce, when you're buying through Facebook. So this is sort of the projected revenue and how social media is affecting buying online. Because now people can buy directly from Facebook. We also talk about, even if you're not an e-commerce business where you're selling anything online, but sort of generating relationships or even gaining members or anything like that through social media. So 7% of marketers successfully gain new customers via social networks. I can say that that has definitely been the case with us. We've got a lot of people coming through social media. 55% of consumers share purchases on social networks. Not just purchases, they will share information about your business, so the service that they've received, how they experienced your business on social media. 74% of consumers rely on social media to guide purchase decisions. So it's a big part of how they decide what company to partner with, what they think of your brand, your branding, and whether they want to deal with you or not. What surprised me is I always thought Pinterest was a bit of a waste of time, but we basically, because it's what we do as part of our business, is seeing how this affects search engine optimization, how it affects your website. We have to play with all of these. And having a bit of a play with Pinterest, we're actually getting good traction through to our website from Pinterest, which I thought it would just be sort of a fluff thing. You have a few boards and everything, but it's actually bringing users to our website. And they have these stats about how Pinterest helps with e-commerce businesses, but it can also help, for example, in the property game, Selling Houses Australia, they have a lot of things that are repinned by different brands. So it does work in a lot of different industries with Pinterest, not just those that have products. The other thing that we saw that really changed was people advertising on social media. We get asked this all the time. Should I do an ad on Facebook? It really depends on what you're trying to achieve, and it depends on your ad whether it will be successful. So to give you an example, we trialled an ad. We had to play with a few different ads. We did an ad for this seminar, so we got some people here that we'd never met before, which was really good. We did an ad that had a picture of a rotten apple and a healthy apple, and it said, "Don't let your web marketing rot." And we got a lot of click-throughs from that. So if you do something smart and effective, then it can work. But still, the return on investment isn't as great from what we've seen as search engine optimization, so ranking online in the organic search. But it can have a different purpose. So one of our dentists uses Facebook advertising quite well to get new clients. So it works really well for him. You just literally have to try it and see if it works for your business. And you've got to keep in mind who you're targeting, because Facebook advertising, you can choose exactly what age group, what they're interested in, whether they're a managing director or a general manager. You can choose all those sort of things, but you've also got to consider your ad. If you do all that and then your ad is terrible, then you're not going to get any traction from it. And it's not for everyone, because not every market is that relevant. There's also, Twitter has emerged with Twitter advertising. There's advertising everywhere. And basically what they're looking to project is that the social media advertising aspect is growing rapidly. So here are some of the main networks with massive advertising revenues. It's still not as massive as Google. If you look at the average rate per user, Google is $45 per user. So people using Google Ads is much higher, then Facebook is following that, and then Twitter. So still most people are choosing, if they're going to do an ad online, they're going to do it through Google Ads. Facebook in many ways remains a favourite, but it depends on the industry as well, because we have seen that LinkedIn is quite popular, Twitter's popularity is increasing, especially now that there's a new app that offers video. The other thing to keep in mind is that mobile and social go hand in hand. So if you're directing people from your social media, most of them are using it on their phones, so if they're going to a terrible website, it's going to really help with your presence on mobile devices and online. There is an emergence of a lot more advertising, so the online space is changing quite a lot, and I didn't expect to see so much changes in social media advertising. So you're now seeing every social media platform came out free, offering so many options, and then their ad revenue is how they really make money from it. The other thing we're seeing is social video is a major aspect of sharing, and we'll go through that. We'll definitely talk about how that affects your search engine rankings and also how it affects how people share and view your site. So video is shared 1,200 times more than links and text. We also found that with social media, images was probably the next best option because people really like to see, it's quite visual, they're quite fast, they flick through their news feed, so you need to stand out. YouTube is the second number 2 search engine in the world after Google, which is pretty impressive. So that means you really have to consider video for your audience. So some of the latest stats in terms of the social networks that have the most active users per month. Obviously Facebook, still quite up there. YouTube has moved up there. It used to be Twitter. WordPress, so people doing their own blogging. Tumblr as well as a blogging site. So we've actually created our own Tumblr blog, which I'll talk about later. Instagram, LinkedIn, Blogspot, there you go, there's Twitter. TripAdvisor's actually moved up there. Tinder's made an appearance, which is quite interesting. There was an article recently that came out about a company that did a fake profile on Tinder to try and advertise for their company. If anyone's interested, I can send that around later. And Yelp, Snapchat, Pinterest, and then Google+. The thing with Google+ is, although most people, like me personally, I don't really like it that much, but it's quite useful for the business, and because Google owns Google+, it features in the rankings, so it is an important part of your business, and you really can't ignore Google+. I don't really like the whole circle thing, but it is useful for business. So most people will utilise social media effectively to boost traffic to their website. So you want what's called an assisted conversion. They see you in social media because they're not necessarily browsing your products, but you're top of mind, they follow you, they think you're interesting. When they're ready to buy, they come through to your website. The other thing is it can enhance your search rankings because you're getting quality links through from a good website like Facebook or other social media, and people are sharing and your content gets much more reach. You can facilitate positive engagement, so rather than people thinking that you're a blank organisation, you can create branding, you're cool, you're fun, you care about the environment, you have a personality, you have a brand, and often that does factor into the purchasing decision or whether you're going to gain new members. You can also use it to gather useful stats which can affect all of your marketing. You can measure things much easily through a lot of these social media platforms and see how people are engaging, what they're talking about, how they're talking about you and your industry, and that can help you with all of your other marketing. And the other thing is you can create a powerful edge. If they're choosing between 2 companies that are fairly similar, but they've got that sort of loyalty and they feel that connection with your brand personality, you can have the winning edge in that particular instance. The other thing that you can do with social media is you can optimise it, so it can actually relate to your search engine optimisation. So for example, you can increase followers, likes, you can do all those sort of things, but also the connectivity between other social media platforms, your website and Google. So there's a whole network that we can really work on to get more reach. A lot of people do social media but don't do it well. So they'll start up a Facebook page but they haven't properly put the URL, they haven't got a dedicated name, they haven't got proper images, they haven't put in the right content, business opening hours, all those sort of things which will affect it'll affect your social media presence. So there's certain tips and things we'll go through where you can optimise how you appear in social media and get the best results. So I'm going to give you some examples of people that have gone a bit viral or done really well from social media. Common misconception is that it won't work for business to business, but it can do, and I've seen some examples of where it's worked for business to business, but typically the most prevalent examples are where it's worked for business to consumer sort of engagement and getting, I guess, purchase. So this is an example, actually a friend of mine in Sydney. She has a boutique and she started off in Sydney markets. She grew her turnover by 2,400% just from Facebook. She didn't even have a website. She literally just had a Facebook presence. She had this cute little dog she was featuring in her posts. She had a lot of people following her. The next step, logical step for her was a Facebook store. Things grew from there. So she went to like no staff up until 30. She went from earning 20 grand to 250 grand in that same year. It's an incredible example. The spin-off is her dog actually became a social media success, so he's got his own Facebook, and that's a good example of splitting your brand and having a brand personality. So now she's thinking of branching into dog clothes. So that's just a really good example. And that article was featured on several national newspapers, and there's a link there. The other example, I personally love going to New York. I love JCPenney. They're pretty smart with how they do their social. This, I thought, was a risky tactic. They basically put out some tweets. As you can see, there's a lot of typos, and people were speculating that someone was drunk and had gone onto the JCPenney Twitter or hacked it and had put all these posts out. But basically, they did this on purpose to get attention, and it worked. So they basically put out all these tweets that sound like they were drunk or didn't know what they were doing, but it worked really well for them. Now, the smart marketers, so people like yourselves, if you want to jump on that sort of bandwagon and do something smart when a big company does this is how you do it. So smart marketers responded. So Kia responded and said, hey JCPenney, do you need a designated driver? Which was really smart. Then Coors Light, we know football goes great with Coors Light, but please tweet responsibly. And then you've got Doritos, slow down at JCPenney, have some Doritos. So it's just a really clever way of jumping on a bandwagon. And I'll show you another example where if you use hashtags and you basically use your ad to a particular brand, you can create more reach. So this is the example I want to talk about in terms of getting better reach. So you've got two big brands. You've got Oreo and you've got Kit Kat. If you have a look at Kit Kat's tweets, they got 28,000 retweets and 14,750 favourites. But if you have a look at Oreo, they only got 15,370 retweets and 5,510 favourites. The difference is hashtags. So Kit Kat, they jumped on the bandwagon with the iPhone 6, when they had that whole debate about it bending. They did the hashtag iPhone 6 Plus and Bendgate, and they got so much more reach for their tweet. Whereas Oreo just did a basic tweet. Even though it was really cool, smart, it didn't get as much reach as if they'd used a hashtag. This is an example of how to be you've got to be clever, but you've got to be careful with what you do. So DiGiorno jumped on the bandwagon of a hashtag, which was Why I Stayed. It's basically about domestic violence and how it's hard for women that are battered to leave a relationship. And they said, Why I Stayed, you had pizza. So they think that's really smart, but that's really insulting for the whole campaign. So they got a lot of attention because everyone was outraged that they'd said that, because it's obviously not politically correct. But then they came back and apologised, said they didn't realise. So either they did it on purpose, knowing that it would go that way and then apologise later, or they were really that silly and did post that. So you've got to be careful. I don't know if anyone saw this about Mojo's Bunbury. Yeah. I thought it was really clever. So they had an eat and run couple, they didn't pay their bill and they put it on social media. Their Facebook page smashed through the roof with likes. It went from literally nothing to over 3,000 likes, and it was just from being smart and having something like this, which actually reached media attention as well. And they followed up quite well. They had a lot of likes, a lot of people commenting, so I think it was a really clever example of what to do. Did anyone see Wild Fig? Yeah. So Wild Fig, same sort of thing. Someone stole their iPad, so they put it out on social media. They didn't get as much success as they could have got, I think, but they did go pretty well on social media. So again, it's a good way of getting some more traction with your social media by being smart. So here's some cool tools. So this is really good tips of things that you can use yourself to really help with your social media. So we've mentioned Google Alerts, but here's a couple of other sites. You have this new packs to go back to, but you can also do pin alerts. So when anyone pins anything from your website, you can see it, and it's probably good to go in there and comment. Pop URLs, so the latest trends from the web, so it's a really good website to visit. This one here is basically the latest headlines from the best blog, so another good one to keep up with. Viral video chart is good to see what is trending with YouTube, especially if you're trying to do something similar and try and jump on the bandwagon. And then there's different ones for different purposes, so Instagram's another one. And there's a few more. So basically, if you go into your Facebook account, on the right-hand side, it will often have trending. It will have a couple of ideas of what's trending. So if you do your Facebook posts and maybe mention those or do something related, it can help. And these are all basically trending sort of sites that can help you with your social media. Trending on YouTube. There's also a hashtag or tag board, so you can find out what the trending hashtag is. So in the example with KitKat, the hashtag was Bengate. So if you use the right hashtag, when people search for it, hashtags like search, it's going to help your post be found. Any questions before I go into tips?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sure, Wayne.
A lot of the figures you had about social media, I would imagine would be very retail-oriented, business to consumer, in terms of how popular those are. How would they change in terms of business to business, in terms of percentage of how effective they are?
It's a good question, but literally everyone's considered business consumer because even if they own a business, they're using Facebook from a personal account. You're not really measuring sort of fan pages on Facebook following you, it's just people with accounts using it. So, Facebook does sometimes release stats, and it's very hard. I know with Twitter, when they were getting the stats for that particular site, they had to guess because Twitter wouldn't actually give away how many users were in Australia. So,
if your clients tend to be government agencies or councils, you wouldn't really be using Facebook to advertise to them, obviously, would you? Or would you?
Well, actually, I've seen it work quite well. I mean, Western Power, this company I have affiliation with Western Power, I've seen that they have a really good Facebook page and they engage with their users, so they have updates of how their workers have more of a personal story. So you can use it on different levels. With government, how I've seen it used, Shire Denmark, some of our clients, they put out alerts to their users through social media. They put out stories about what's happening in their area, events, those are the things. With business to business, I've seen people put out articles on, how to buy property, health tips, those are the things. So I have seen it work business to business. I mean, we use it ourselves, and we base all the tips that we talked about today, all the awesome links we find, we put out on our Facebook. So there is ways of connecting with people. It doesn't matter if it's business to consumer or business to business. Depends on the industry. Some are a little drier than others, but you've got to make it fun. You've got to make it engaging so people actually do want to follow you. And we'll go through some of the tips for business for Facebook and for different mediums. So regarding the tips for social media, you've got to know your purpose. So is your purpose to be the coolest company there is, or is it to show that you're serious, that you know what you're doing? Is it to show experience? Is it to show that you care? Know what you're trying to get across. Have a crisis management plan in place. If you do get a troll, which we'll go through later, if someone who likes to put negative things out and complain and all that sort of thing, you need to know what you're going to do. And you need to have someone monitoring your social media. You need to react quickly. So like with that Super Bowl JCPenney example, those companies that acted quickly, jumped on it, they got a lot of traction from that. The same thing goes if someone says something negative on your Facebook page, you need to jump in quickly because you're going to have 10 other people compiling on that negativity. Unless you put a good response there, then everything from there might change. Understand the consequences. So with that domestic violence tweet, you need to understand what is the consequence if you get it wrong and you put something out there that's really negative. There was an example recently of some judges from, I think it was Idol or X Factor in New Zealand, really went out and criticised some of the contestants, and everyone went on social media and just basically blacklisted them really badly. So you've got to be careful what happens there. With management as well, I don't know how many businesses I've spoken to who put their intern or their daughter on the social media, but they don't understand how the business works. So it needs to be a combination of someone that understands how the business works and understands how social media works, otherwise you don't have them both working hand in hand. And you've got to make it light, fun and informative, and we'll go through some tips for that. Sometimes we say to our clients, do it well or not at all. So if you just got a Facebook page, you never update it. The only time you ever update it is to chuck on sales stuff like buy from us now, big special, blah, blah. It's not going to work very well for your audience. It doesn't show that you really care about what they want, and it's just spamming. So you've got to consider that. You want to leverage your social channels. So when I go through the actual social media channels, I'll tell you which ones are more time intensive and which ones you can just do, I guess, a little bit quickly if you don't have the time to manage it. You want to acknowledge engagement. So if someone does bother to comment on your page, you want to really acknowledge that and make them feel welcome, because then you're going to encourage more contact from them. You want to get support as well. You want your whole company on social media, because in effect, they're reporters out in the scene. They can see anything that's related to your industry. They might see a cool article, they might take a picture of an event or whatever and can send it through to you to put in your social media. So it just increases your company's spread. Where you want to start is you want to have short, relevant articles. Eventually, you want, really, in future, you want original content. If you're just going to be reposting everyone else's stuff, it gets a bit dry. And you want to be timely and active. So you want to post regularly for certain ones, and I'll go through which ones you need to post really regularly. And then you want to respond within 24 hours. So it does take a bit of management. Or we can have the Google alert set up, like we said, as well. So the content suggestions is you want to have any new developments for your company, but you don't want to always be saying the same thing. Oh, we got this new product, we got this new product, we got this new product. You want to have, like, this is a change in our industry, this is something interesting we came across. One thing I found interesting, and I'm sorry to embarrass you, Dion, but you do containers and shipping, and I thought, well, how could you make that fun on Facebook? Like, such a boring thing. But he posts an example of containers that have been used for a nightclub, for a shopping centre, for like really cool stuff. And I actually found myself liking it. I thought, wow, that's really interesting. They did something different and made containers something fun. So I think that's a really good example of how you can make something that might be considered boring more fun and more engaging. You also want to tailor your message to different audiences and channels. So like you said, if you do have if you've got different audiences, maybe consider different sort of branding. Like if you've got business-to-business audience, they don't want to hear the same stuff as the residential audience. So you've got to consider whether you put a bit of both or you have separate channels. Now, the main thing is don't overly self-promote yourself on your social media. I mean, it's the same goes with any seminars or things that you do. You've got to offer value to people. I mean, if they really believe that you know what you're talking about, you're good at what you do, then that might become a customer. But you've got to get them to keep engaging with you, and occasionally you might put a few salesy sort of things like, you know, a special or promotion or things like that. But it can't be all the time, or people will turn off. People don't want to like a page where they're just getting sold to. They want to see some value, some good articles that they can connect with. And you want to localise your content. So you may notice that the Exit Perth Facebook page hasn't been around very long, literally 2 months. And the reason that we decided to do it is because we always had that main Facebook page which was national, but it didn't have local content. It was focused on what we've done in Sydney, what we've done in Melbourne, what we've done everywhere. But people in Perth, they want to hear Perth stuff, they want to hear what's relevant to their market. So that's why we introduced Facebook for Perth, and that's why it's relatively new, is to do that, and also so we get to have a play with it and see what works. Have a unique voice, so users will get less angry with Brenda than the generic company response. So sometimes putting a user behind, I guess, a response is much more useful. And you want to be entertaining as well. So I don't know if any of you followed Woolworths. I just thought they were pretty interesting, the way that they handled random crazies. So for example, this lady here had said something really crazy, and because they responded quite politely, she actually apologised on there. So it's a really good example of just doing the right thing, just being really professional with everything that you do. This is another example of a crazy from Woolworths. Hi Woolworths, you should have one free day a year where everything is free in the store, and if you miss out, you should send us all the free stuff we want. So Woolworths said, cool idea there. I mean, what do you say to that? But the point is you need to respond. You need to moderate conversations, so you need to be honest yet respectful with the user. So if you're just trying to shift blame or argue with people online, it'll work out really bad for you. Understand ownership as well. Like, you may have so many followers on Facebook, but unless they actually go to your website, they engage with you, they're not your users, they're not your clients, they're not yours, they belong to Facebook. And don't make social everything. It's not really cheap because you do have to invest time in it. So it can't be everything for your company. You need to back it up, like I said, with a good website, with good promotional, with good branding, with good messages, and then it all works together. Don't focus on the money. Don't be trying to make so much money out of it. You've got to create and build the audience first, and that will come naturally over time. If you give a good user experience, it'll come. So this is just really about visuals. They need to have pictures. If you're doing Facebook posts, everything needs to have a picture. Even Twitter, it's good to have pictures in there and then now introducing video. I don't know if anyone's had a troll on their social media. Has anyone had someone say anything really negative on their social media? That else to share? Would you like to share?
Me?
Yeah.
I took a display photo of a brand and it was upside down, and someone really negatively said, you don't even know this product, why you're promoting it. And I just totally turned it around and just said, okay, thanks very much, we're all human, we all make mistakes. And then later, because I posted on so many other groups as well, I actually made a point of saying, hey, spot the fault.
Yeah, that's a good way of handling it.
So they kind of promoted it that way and took on board what she was saying, but also responsibility for it as well, and totally turned it around to a positive.
That's really good. Yeah, it's really important to add a bit of humour, but yeah, you've got to know when to be serious and you've got to know when to take responsibility, so that's really good. Cool. So how do you spot a troll? So a troll is one of those people that will just randomly argue with you for no apparent reason on Twitter. We had one a couple of weeks ago. There was some guy called Watching WA, and he wrote on our website, if you're the biggest digital agency in Australia, why do you only have 500 Twitter followers? And so we responded, we said, oh, that's a really good point. We're the Perth division, like we had some sort of response, and he just kept arguing, like just even if you said something nice, he would just argue. So what we did in the end is just basically keep it professional, keep it calm, and then he went away at the end of it. So you just got to know how to respond properly. If you inflame them, you say, well, you've only got 20 followers, which is what he had, then it just inflames the situation. So these are just some of the things that you can expect from the internet. Once you put yourself out there, you will get people doing this. If you don't put yourself out on social media, they'll do it anyway. So they'll find a forum where they can, complain about your company anyway. So this is the anatomy of a troll. Sarcasm and bitter irony, extra sharp molars for crushing community manager's spirit, lol sounds from here, large hairy stamping feet, hashtags on your promotions. Yeah, so that's basically the anatomy of a troll. Sometimes it's better just not to respond. It depends on the scenario. So we move on to the specifics. Has anyone got any questions before we go into the specific social media? Okay. So Facebook, like I said, we've recently introduced our Facebook. So really hope that you like this because you'll get updates. Anytime we get a new article on Google or anything that's changed at social level, we post it straight on there. We have our characters, Dr. Exa, on the left there. So Dr. Exa puts little updates about SEO, algorithms. The question that was asked before was that how do I keep up to date with all this stuff? Well, we do it, so we put it on here. So this might be one way that you can keep up to date with it. We also have our national page as well. I put a post down here because I wanted to show you, when you have your Facebook page, you can actually see how much reach each of your posts gets. One of the posts that had a lot of reach for us was the lady that's performing after this at 1:30 out there, Sydney Carter. We posted her original audition, and because it was, we had included her name and everything, we reached over 3,515 people. We only have 170 likes at that time on our Facebook page. So that's an example of, it doesn't matter how many likes you have, if you do something well in social media, you can get incredible reach. So in terms of Facebook, some of the things you need to keep in mind is you need to complete your About Us section. I don't know how many I've gone to, don't have the business opening hours, don't have any information about the company. So the one thing you want to do is check that you've got a link to your website, you've got all the contact details, you've got your address in there, your phone numbers, all those things are optimised. And focus on keywords as well. So it's just an example, which you may not be able to see, but you can always go to our Facebook page and see that example there. Okay, the other thing, you want to consider your image. You want a really eye-catching image. Generally for company fan pages, you want to have your logo there. In this case, we wanted something a little bit different. We wanted to be a little bit more eye-catching, so that's why we've got Dr. Exa as our Facebook profile picture. And then you want a good cover shot as well. So for ours, we just did a tree and Vixx. So just trying to play around with different options. We're basically at the moment in the experimental phase with this because it's completely different to the Melbourne and Sydney market. So how Perth works is really different. So you just got to try a few things and then see what reach you get on it. The other thing you want to do is secure a vanity URL. So where ours is facebook.com/exaperth. You want to secure that, and I think you can get that after a certain amount of likes. The other thing you want to do is you can share links to your page. So there's a lot of Facebook plugins that are free. You want to make the most of Facebook apps. You want to encourage check-ins and give incentives for check-ins because it helps your brand reach more people. So just a few examples there. The other thing you want to do is you want to consider your community and sort of how Facebook should work and what sort of guidelines you should give to your users in using your Facebook page. And to get the most from your news feeds in Facebook, you want to have the right content for the right people and at the right time. So you actually go into Facebook metrics and you can see when you've made posts, when was the best time? You know, when did you get the most reach? For us personally, I found it was generally between 12 and 1 when people are on lunch checking their phones, and from 5 until 8 p.m. at night. That's what we found was the best reach. Now, in terms of Facebook for business, more focused on business to business. The frequency, you want to update every day but space out the posts. So you don't want to have post after post after post, you want to space it out. You want to respond to all comments, good or bad, very quickly. You want to optimise, so you can use trending hashtags in Facebook as well. At the moment, you can actually connect Facebook to Twitter, so anything you put on Facebook will automatically post on Twitter, so then the hashtag will be even more relevant then. You want to consider the 80-20 rule. Entertain and inform first, and sell second. Don't be that guy. Don't be the person that asks other pages for likes and just sounds really desperate out in the sphere. If you've got good content and everything, you should be able to generate likes, and you can do a bit of advertising for that initially. When you're talking about your brand on Facebook, talk about yourself in first person plural. So we are, we think, those sort of things. And you want to engage with your fans, so you want to mix up of content. You don't want to have too much fun. I mean, we do some memes and animal stuff because a few of us have pets, but you want to keep it serious as well, otherwise people think that you're not a serious and professional organisation. And don't be an attention seeker, so only ask for a status like if you were actually doing a poll, because it can look bad, especially if no one likes you. And I mentioned connecting to Twitter, so you can connect to Twitter and Instagram through your Facebook account. And you want to have mixed media. So we've been experimenting with Vines. There was a trend recently about scare Vines where someone walks into a room, you scare them and you've got them on film. So we did one of those and that actually worked quite well. So you just try different media and just see how it works for you. Here's some examples of our posts, so more of our fun posts. I just want to talk through a few of them because some of them got really good reach. So the one in the corner where there's all chilies, we're basically celebrating Hot and Spicy Day. We got over 4,000 reach from that because we had included Nando's in on it. So Nando's actually responded to us, tweeted back and everything. So we got a lot more reach because of the connection with Nando's for Hot and Spicy Day. All of the animal memes, especially my dog and Madison's cat, do really well on Facebook. And that's just to mix up the content every now and then, just something light plus the professional stuff so people like to engage with you. And our staff like staff awards, even clever memes about our industry, those do really well on social media. That's sort of the more fun stuff, but generally we have articles as well and all the Facebook and links and those sort of things. This is an example of a Facebook page in America that does really well, if you look at the likes. And they're always putting articles out about like looking after your home, cooking, those sort of things. So I've seen a few examples where people do it quite well with mixed media. Any questions on Facebook? No? Okay, Twitter. So again, same story with Twitter. We only just started Twitter about 2 months ago, so we've only got 500 followers. Our Melbourne brand had a couple of thousand. I will give a few secrets away with Twitter as to how you can get more followers. The main thing with Twitter is you want to see who your competitors are following and follow them, because who your competitors are following are obviously interested in your competitors. So if you follow them, you hope that they'll follow you back, and then that's how you can increase your followers. So that's sort of one of the secrets there with Twitter. In terms of Twitter for business, frequency, the thing with Facebook and Twitter is they are intensive. I mean, you can auto-post, but we did auto-posting for a while just to see how it would work with Twitter feed or Hootsuite or any of those ones that automatically post articles from other websites to your Facebook and Twitter. It doesn't work well. It's okay, but the most reach we had was from original content. So if you don't have time to be doing that regularly, like as in daily or every few days, there's probably no point doing it. So Twitter and Facebook are the most time intensive. So Twitter can even be updated multiple times a day because it's so fast moving, otherwise people will miss what you're saying unless people retweet it or respond to it. You want to optimise that with hashtags for sure. And there is a character limit, so when you're doing tweets, you want to make it really short and punchy, and you want to leave some space, so if someone wants to retweet it, they can add their own comment. Again, don't be that guy and try and tweet around asking for followers. Try and mix media, and like I said, they're using video a lot more with Twitter. And don't be naughty if you follow too many people. If you follow, generally, I think, before our account got banned, it was 100, 150. If you try to follow that too many people over that per day, then they block your account as a spammer. So just keep that in mind. And keep it positive. Trolls and negativity lose followers, so you want to keep positive. And be appropriate as well. No one really cares what the CEO had for breakfast, unless it was really awesome. But you want to keep it relevant and keep it professional. And use a proper image. So generally with Twitter, definitely suggest having your logo, because that's so easily recognisable as that key shot, and then having something fun in the background. Now, the things to keep in mind is this actually relates a lot with Google. So recently there was an article that was put out talking about the relationship between Google and Twitter, and now some tweets are starting to show up in Google search. So again, that's relevant to how your website and your rankings can be affected by social media like Twitter. So this is interesting. So basically, in summary, Twitter can affect your rankings in Google, the way you show up. Any questions on Twitter? Okay, so Google Plus. If nothing else, if you do nothing else social media-wise, do this. Google Plus is not that difficult. Set it up, set up your company page, put all your information there. You need that there for your location. It kind of replaced the Google Places before. So you need to keep this up to date. That is where people will write reviews. And if you have reviews, as Mark was mentioning earlier in the search engine optimization, you'll have stars next to you when you come up in the search. So it'll be another way of differentiating your company from every other company that comes up on page 1 of Google, is by you having stars and standing out. So the way that you get stars is a certain amount of reviews. I can't remember how many it is. 5. So if you get 5 reviews in Google Plus, then you start to show the stars when people search in Google. So this is just an example of ours. And again, we do a separate one for each city that we have an office. This is, in answering your question, Wayne, is probably the most relevant for business to business. This and LinkedIn. Facebook can be, but it depends on your market and what you're putting out. But if nothing else, Google Plus, LinkedIn are so relevant for business to business. The frequency with Google Plus as well, it doesn't have to be every day. I mean, it would be good if you're getting more circles, you're interacting in that, but it can be left. Just don't recommend leaving it too long, by at least putting a few things on there and connecting a bit. Because how it works is you've obviously got circles, and you can put people in circles or groups. So you might have customers, stakeholders, government, whatever, in your circles. The other thing people don't know about Google Plus is you can actually, there's like things like hashtags is kind of different with Google Plus. You've got like a plus sign, you've got an HT to give people credit. Like there's all these little tools that you can use when you're reposting things in Google Plus. I don't have time to go into it, but it's something you can look into. Hashtags are appropriate too. You want to circle others. You want people to be in your circles. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just have a play with it when you have some time. You want to join communities as well with similar interests, so you can all share information. And you want to do mixed media as well. So like I said, you want to have images, videos, text, those sort of things. And do keep in mind that, as Mark was mentioning, you can use Google Hangouts, which is connected. So Google Hangouts is like Skype, like an open video that you can talk to people, you can do posts through. And use the +1 button to like or favourite posts, so it's slightly different to Facebook and Twitter. The thing with this as well is this is the only platform which allows you to properly format messages. So it's probably good to do it. If it allows you to format it, you can bold things, just make it a little bit more attractive to the user, whereas other things like Facebook and that, you can't format, you can't bold, you can't make paragraphs or do different things with your posts. So Google and Google+. Well, obviously Google and Google+ are related very strongly. Reviews here increase your credibility. It gives you more exposure. It will help, I guess, with your rankings as well. It differentiates your organisation from others. And often when you search, that's what comes up is those reviews. And it's just another way of people engaging with your company. Just a word of warning though, because we have seen people do it, and some of our clients. Google's really smart. So if you get all your staff to log on and write a review for your company, it will determine that they're fake reviews. So it looks at IP address, looks at time of day, it looks at what's said in them. There's a lot of things that it uses to gauge whether reviews are accurate. And also, if you are going to encourage your customers to review you through Google+, we actually do have a template that you can use. But generally, you want to ask them to do it at different times of day, so you don't want to be getting them all to do it at the same time of day or anything like that. So this is an example of how you write a review in Google+. So I'd love you guys to write a review in Google+ if you'd like. But you can basically Google the company. So in this case, you see I've Googled Chewett Hill Dental, which is one of our clients. On the right-hand side comes up this little box here, and there's an area that says write a review. And you can see that they've already got stars, so they've already got more than 5 reviews, which is why they come up with stars. Or you can go to the particular Google Plus page and review from there. So you look them up in Google Plus, you go to the About Us section, there's a place to write a review. So that's a few things on Google Plus. Any questions on Google Plus? Okay, LinkedIn. So people get a little bit confused with LinkedIn because there's 2 aspects of LinkedIn. So you've got your personal profile, so there's mine there, and you've got your company page. Now they work quite differently. And they can both be very successful for your business. If you have a key staff member that say is a salesperson or a manager or someone that interacts with your stakeholders, having a well-optimised profile could help bring in more sales, could help increase credibility of your organisation, create relationships, discuss important topics. You can create groups, those sort of things from there. So I recommend that everyone, if you're in business and you're dealing with people and you deal with important stakeholders, optimise your own account. And I'll go through some tips for that. The other thing you can do is you can have a company page on there. So your company page really allows people to follow you. You can actually put out updates through it. You can put out updates through your own personal one as well, but it's just a bit different. So you can get people following you. We have found that quite useful for employment, for HR, because people start to follow your company, they get a sort of opinion about you, and you get some good, I guess, people applying for work through your company. Okay, so personal versus company. Keep in mind the difference between them and the relevance for each of them. So with personal, you want a clean, professional face shot, something a little bit interesting, which is why I have the hat on, just something a little bit different. Creative cover, so something creative in the background. You want to fill in your entire profile. So if you have a look at mine, mine's an example of a search engine brain doing it because I've got links everywhere, I've got keywords, sort of a way to get found in search. It's worked really well. I actually get a lot of people come through there. For example, I had one of the government councils had searched in LinkedIn for internet provider, and my profile came up, and then they came through with an inquiry. So if your profile is relevant for different keywords in your industry, then you can come up and search. You want to personalise your connection requests. You don't want to blanket out, connections. I mean, I think I went a bit crazy with it initially because I've got like over 3,000 connections, but I think you need to be a little bit smarter with it because you can get spammed, and you can be spamming. And you want to mix your updates with personal achievements and industry articles. And you want to create and join relevant groups to create more of a community. Now with your company, you want it to be company branded with a clear logo. You want a really good description, which again is optimised for good keywords about what you do, services, etc. And you want to encourage your followers to click through to your articles, click through to your website. The other thing that you can do with company is you can create groups. So say, for example, you're a specialist in for us, like digital marketing or marketing, you can create a special group where people talk about marketing, digital marketing, and those that are interested can join the group and share. So it's a way of building networks, so sort of peer groups through LinkedIn. And that can be quite effective. Any questions on LinkedIn?
Do you have to set up the group page from your company page?
Sorry. The groups can be from your personal as well. Groups can be set up either way.
You can't set that up standalone, but you still have to link into your...
Well, the groups generally are from a personal account, but you can make them company branded. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions on LinkedIn? Okay, Pinterest. As I mentioned, we're having a bit of a play with this. We're now at 800 followers on Pinterest. I looked at our website stats the other day and we got 20 click-throughs from Pinterest to our website. So I'm getting some, I guess, sort of branding awareness out there. It hasn't led to any sales or anything, but I think the message is that you can get some good branding awareness through mediums like Pinterest. In terms of time intensivity, it's not that hard. I mean, you can, I guess, put a few boards up and pin a few things and maybe look at it weekly. It wouldn't be a daily thing, but you'd have to decide whether it was worthwhile for your organisation. I mean, for us, we had a few boards, like we've got technology, fundings, like different things where people can connect with us. We imagine one day we want an office like the Google office in the internship, free food and slides and everything. So we've got like a future office sort of folder, and look, these work quite well. So people are engaging with them. So with Pinterest, like I said, you can do it weekly. You can pin directly from the source and give them credibility. So if someone has basically repinned something from another organisation, which repinned from another one, which repinned from another one, it's not as good. But if you go directly to the source and you engage a bit better, it's better for your Pinterest. The whole thing with Pinterest is basically a big board where you post photos of things you like. And you can create your own boards and people can ask you to join their board. It's just a way of you sharing pictures, basically. But those pictures obviously come from somewhere, and if people really like it, they can click back to your website, which is what's happened with us. So it's a bit of an idea. You may even create it just for your staff. You might have a Pinterest for, say, a government communication where you have like sort of events that happen and the photos from those events or whatever, where people can post interesting information. Instagram. Again, Instagram can be time intensive, so probably, and not always best for business to business, but we had to play with it to see what sort of results it would get in our sort of industry. It's a good way for our staff to, I guess, put fun things out there, like fun memes and our eggs of banana and some of our animals. The main thing with Instagram is just photo sharing. And again, all of these can be linked to different social media. So you can have your Instagram photos that you take of, say, a company event. They can go straight to your Facebook page, so everything can be connected. So with Instagram, it's really daily or weekly, so it's probably not recommended for everyone unless they've got time to do it. Opportunity knocks, just because you don't sell products doesn't mean you don't have something special to offer on Instagram. So, I mean, you may be showing, for example, one of our clients is beautiful flooring. They may show examples of a multi-million-dollar view from one of the houses they've just ordered flooring in. So there's just ways of connecting with a different audience. But you want to keep it fun and unique. You want to create branding and style. You may have some pictures of your staff and then you want to balance it between pictures of work that you've done or whatever. And you want to learn from the best and hashtag like crazy. Any questions on Instagram? Basically, there's so many social media platforms out there, you just got to figure out what you're trying to achieve and just choose the best one for it. So, I mean, for us, we tried out Tumblr simply because it's similar to a blog site but slightly different, and it was a good way to trial out Dr. Exa as a separate brand personality. So if you're ever experimenting with something, you could try it out in a different social media platform than the mainstream. So with Tumblr, it's like the anti-blog. So what it does is it's much easier for you to create a big audience, and you can put out articles. Like if you go to Tumblr and you check out our Dr. Exa page, there's like a tab for social media where we put social media, like all the JCPenney stuff I had there, it's all on that blog. Like it's just a way of posting information in a slightly different way. And the reason we're playing with so many of them is just to experiment, because it's different for every client, it's different for every industry. So you've just got to keep playing with it to work out what works for you. And there's lots of tools like Bookmarklet. There's different ways of making it easier to share information and short URLs. They're all things that you can do with these different mediums. So if you ever want to post a like, oh, we love this link, and it's like a really long link, you can Google short URLs and it will shorten it for you, and then you can post that easily. Any questions? And YouTube, this is one of the most important. So again, if you do nothing else, do LinkedIn, do Google+, if you can do YouTube, because everyone loves video, it works really well in search. It works very well for business to business because you can have obviously a demonstration of what you do, case studies. It works very well for any platform. So Google and YouTube. So Google owns YouTube. It is a ranking signal. So as Mark mentioned earlier, when people are searching for particular things, it will come up in YouTube. And you can create keywords and target, label the videos properly so that they come up in search. And as you mentioned earlier, it's the second biggest search engine. So this is, if you want to see an example of a vine, you can go to our Facebook page. We've got some scare vines there. It's just basically a short video that features on your site. So YouTube for business, you can leave that weekly for updates, but it's better to update it regularly if you can. Try and do original content rather than sharing other people's videos. You can do some quick and dirty smartphone videos, and we have seen that it's worked quite well for some businesses. We trialled it out with video testimonials, and it worked well. People actually said it was more believable than the professional shot testimonial, and it came across more natural as well. So you can do that. Or you might want to quickly show them, well, this is what we do in business, or this is a certain method that we do, or this is what not to do. One of our clients is in the electrical industry. Someone literally got blown off a ladder because wiring was done wrong. So those sort of things can get quite a lot of viral views, so it can be good for increasing your reach. And you do have privacy controls on there, so you can reduce what people see. I just quickly want to go through this because we are running out of time. We are going to finish round one. A couple of videos that you can do, and there's one that we've actually done for Good to Go Loans. They're based in Sydney, so this is a sort of finance one. It's called an explainer video, where they do these really cool videos with basically drawings and just making it really simple for the user. So you don't have to just go the quick and dirty iPhone one or a professional shot video. You can also do these explainer videos. So if you ever want to check out these examples, they're all listed on these websites, and they're ones that we have built. I really want to show you guys this. Has anyone seen Take This Lollipop? Do we have time? I'm going to just put it on. Yeah, I'm going to put the link on. I just want to show you this because you want to keep in mind what you're posting to social media, and you want to make sure that your staff aren't posting anything that could jeopardise your business. If you want, you should really try this out after logging. I'll do it with my own personal account to give you an idea. But you can do this in your own time and log in. So if you want to try that out too, it's a really cool tool. Basically the reason for me showing you this is that app accesses all my information just as every other app does through Facebook. So anything you're putting on there as a personal user can be accessed. You've already just pulled up all my pictures for that. So yeah, it's a little bit scary what people can access through the web. And it doesn't go away either. So once you've put yourself out there, you put all that information out there, it may come here that Google forget to sort of rule that they're doing in Europe, but yeah, once it's out there, it's out there. Any questions? Cool. All right, well, we're pretty much at the end. So you've got a whole bunch of case studies in there. Feel free to connect with us, like I said, if you want to keep in touch with all the things that we're doing. Thanks for everyone for coming. It was a pleasure to bring the seminar to you.